When you're working with files in Python, once you've opened them up, you can do many things with them. You can read the file letter by letter, line by line, or load in the whole file at once. In my code here, I've opened the courses.txt file, but I haven't done anything yet with it. One of the easiest ways to get data from files in Python is to use a for loop, and I can iterate through it just like I would a list. The code for this is for, and then the variable name, and I'll choose line in the courses file. Now remember, there's nothing magical about the word line here. It could be anything, but line is a good choice for the variable name since it will get a line of text from the file. So this will iterate through the file line by line and store each one into that line variable. And let's go ahead and just print that out to the screen so that we can see that it's working. So I'm going to run this with the debugger so that we can watch it line by line. The first thing that happens is it opens the file and sets up that courses file variable name for us. Now, in the for loop, the variable line will get CSE110, and then it also gets the new line character. I can print this out to the screen, and then the for loop goes back and it gets the next one. Now the variable line has CSE111, the second line from the file. I can print this one out, and you can see those displaying down here to the console. Each time through the loop, the variable line will get the next value, the next line out of the file, CSE210, and so forth. And it will continue running until it gets to the end of the file. Now, there are some extra blank lines here that you noticed, and we'll talk about that later on. There's one more thing that's really important here, and that is, whenever you open a file, you need to make sure that it gets closed. Otherwise, your program might be locking it. You may have seen this sometimes on your computer when you try to delete a file and it says that it can't because it's being used by another program somewhere. So there's a way to do this directly by typing coursesfile.close. And this works, but you have to remember to do it. And also to make sure that your program doesn't ever leave without closing it, such as if an error happens in the middle and it jumps somewhere else. So there's a better way to do this in Python, and that's to use the with keyword. When you use the keyword with, you define a code block, and when the program leaves that block of code, it will automatically close the file for you. You do it like this. You type with, and then you say open the name of the file, courses.txt, just like before. But then it's a little different. Instead of putting the variable on the left-hand side, you actually type the keyword as, and then you give the variable name, which I'm going to call courses_file. Then you put a colon at the end of that line, and then you start indenting, just like you do for a loop or an if statement for their blocks of code. So let me indent that there. And that's it. It works just like the first way, but it makes sure that the file gets closed. Let's run this one more time, just to be safe. Now my breakpoint was actually on the comment, so I'll move it down there, and then we'll go ahead and start the debugging. You can see it steps in here, opens the file, and now I go through, I get CSE110, I print it out. I get the next line, CSE111, and I print it out. And it continues on just as before, only now when it's finished, it will make sure to close the file for me. Now that you know how to open a file and load its contents into a variable, you can use any of the tools and techniques you've learned in programming to work with that file data.